Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Broads. What the hell did we just watch? I have no idea what to say. I have no idea what emotions are rolling through my veins right now, but that was incredible. Holy hell. The last thing I just heard before we popped onto the stream and started the show was Alec Bohm, so I guess that's where I have to begin. And I thought he handled the situation perfectly. I'm sure everybody saw online on Twitter there was a close-up of his face after he made a couple errors, and he was getting booed heavily. So his response was looking at Didi Gregorius, saying the words, "I hate this fucking place." And there were some possibilities, right? It could have been, "I hate this fucking place." It could have been, "Let's fucking end this." It could have been, "I hate these fucking plays," which doesn't make much sense considering these plays were very routine that he was screwing up, overthinking, and it all stems from the number one problem, which was throwing the ball to begin with the first error where he charges the ball after it hits Ranger Suarez's glove. He's basically falling over, and he throws it into the dirt 7,000 feet to the right of Rhys Hoskins. It made no sense whatsoever, and the Mets had some life. Brutal decision. But I do love the fact that afterwards, he stood right there in his locker. He was asked about it. He said, I said it. I said it. I didn't mean it. I was frustrated. I was emotional. I said it. I don't mean it." And I actually give him a ton of credit, and I give him a round of applause for taking it down that path. And I think there's no better way he could have managed that scenario that he put himself in other than that. Now, at the plate, he was great. He gets on base every single time. He earned a major walk in the eighth inning, which started the big power comeback that the Phillies exploded to win the damn baseball game. And he had an awesome double. The problem is, realistically, I am very, very proud of the way that he took what happened not to the plate. Like, he didn't have that affect his style at the dish. He was standing in the batter's box as if none of that occurred. That is not easy to do, especially as a young player. We can't hide from the fact, though, that what he did was awful. What he's doing in the field is unplayable. And that's a problem because what he's doing at the plate is extremely valuable, and it's very important, and it's huge, and it only adds depth to what this lineup could be. Now, before the game even began, I did not understand why they even had him in the lineup. You get a righty on the mound in Walker. I feel you put Bohm on the bench, Stott at third, Didi Gregorius at shortstop. You have two lefties in your lineup. That's what I would like. Now, the numbers tell you, and Joe Girardi utilized the numbers, that Alec Bohm was 4 for 10 against Walker, had a homer, had a double. So saw him well in his career, figured he's seen him. He's okay with it. That's all right. And I don't hate that. I don't despise it. I understand it. What do I always say? Whenever I see a decision made, regardless of the results, before we actually witness what goes down, can I understand the thought process? Do I properly digest what went down in your brain before you put the paper to pen, or however the hell they do it electronically? We remember the debacle that happened last year when it comes to actually putting the lineup card together and giving it to the umpires. I have no idea how they do it in 2022 anymore. The moral of the story is, though, do I see why? And I see why. I didn't love it, but I saw why. Now, you can make the argument, and it's hard to really judge what Ranger Suarez did today. He wasn't his sharpest, that's for damn sure. He would have been out of that inning, though. Double play ball, no runs would have been scored. So it's really hard for me to focus on Ranger Suarez and come up with a conclusion on how I feel totally. I've seen him look more dynamite, but once again, when that's what's behind you, it's difficult. Knowing, though, that traditionally Ranger Suarez can get some right-handed hitters to ground out, it's hard to think let's put our worst third baseman over there at that time because it doesn't really add up. Regardless, though, here we are. That was a major win. The Mets will Met. That's always the topic of conversation when you see their faces. I watched Dominic Smith strike out against Brad Hand in the 9th inning, and the look on his face was basically, oh, damn, what just happened? How did that evaporate? This is bonkers. Yeah, you're damn right. They had some issues, though, with some bullpen pieces in May, who ended up having to leave the game. Well, their starter, too, Walker, who ended up having to leave the game. I'm not going to act as if that wasn't an impact. But the Phillies were dead. They were dead. There was no juice in the building. There was no energy whatsoever. And then all of a sudden, here comes that 8th inning. Started by Alec Bohm with the walk. Camargo with a nice how-do-you-do bloop in right field. Schwarber with the RBI that beats a double play, so he's on first base hustling. JT with the bomb makes it a 1-run game. Castellanos with the walk. I cannot believe I saw Nick Castellanos run that damn hard from Rhys Hoskins' double. The way he was moving, here's Dusty at third base telling him to go, moving his damn arms as fast as possible. There he is. He's hustling to home plate. I got nervous for about half a second, but once you saw the ball die out in left field, you thought there's a chance. Oh, hell yeah, there's a real opportunity. The ball gets thrown home. Nick Castellanos slide. The tie game is in effect. And, of course, Didi Gregorius. And there's a lot of Didi Gregorius hate because of what happened against Cole Irvin and the A's. And I just tried telling everyone, relax with Didi. He even said it postgame. He's trying to prove that he isn't as bad as he put on display last year, and there's more to his game. I believe there's more to his game. He's not like a 209, 206 hitter, whatever he finished with last year. That's not Didi Gregorius. He had 2 hits. He was electric. Came up clutch. RBI. Big RBI. And from there, you went to Hand. You had options in the pen. No Corey Knebel, flu-like symptoms. I was wondering why he wasn't getting the nod. And realistically, I would have been furious if it was he's just not capable of going today because of the load that he had prior. Well, he had the day off. Now, there's going to be a lot of games in April, and that will have an effect on decision-making. But a key piece to the success today happens to go by the name of Nick Nelson. This guy, what a beautiful man. What a man. He goes out there and gives you 4. So you see that his velocity was wild in the beginning. 98, that is. Wild just meaning fast, dynamic, dynamite, beautiful. And then by the end, he was down by the lower 90s, 92, 93. You could tell he was out of gas. But after he ended up leaving, you get yourself a little Seranthony Dominguez action. You get yourself some Brad Hand action. Look at your bullpen keeping it within range. If your pitching can keep you involved in the game, this offense at any point could take over. You just need 1 inning. Everyone's mad. Kyle Schwarber striking out a handful of times. Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper's going to turn it around, all right? We all saw his elbow situation when he tried to gun out at home plate, and he started rubbing his elbow, and he squatted a bit. They showed it on the broadcast. Stayed in the game, though. Ended up striking out. Stayed in the game, though. I'm just curious how they're going to play this moving forward. I'm sure they're going to really dissect it, make sure that they stay as precautionary as possible. Just go through the right protocols instead of forcing some things. Like I just mentioned, a lot of games in April. But I'll tell you what, there was like no life. It got a little bit worrisome. The offense dating back to the last game in the A series. You look at all the innings, not much production, grounding into a double play. So you just kind of lost it a little bit. But that's the difference in where this team is this year. At any point, with the blink of an eye, they can just turn it on and do lethal damage all around. I'm pretty bummed that Stott didn't play today. I am. But I think that this Alec Bohm thing tells a big story. I think that's important to what this team is going to be about. And that, what just happened today, that's like a bonding thing. What he stated after the game almost made me feel like, and we saw that Didi, Rhys Hoskins, they were speaking to him, right? They went to him at the mound during a pitching change. They patted him on the chest and said, let's go. And Bohm acknowledged it. All right. The way he stood in front of his locker, though, it just smelled like Bryce Harper. Didn't it? It smelled like Kyle Schwarber. It smelled like veteran presence to the growth of a young kid that's going through some serious growing pains, and he's in some real issues right now. in his head, mentally, you could tell. He gathers the ball, he's double clutching, he's overthinking, he's throwing, the mechanics are all over the place. Rhys Hoskins has to get off the bag. He's trying to make a swipe tag. They run through first base, you're safe, you review it. Now the Mets have a guy on first, all that. The way they say, yup, I said, it just smelled like professionalism, and that is all about leadership. What did we complain about last year? Who's the leader? Now, ultimately on the field, it was Bryce Harper. He was your NL MVP, in case you forgot. And I actually had someone call into the radio station over the weekend and ask, why is it a big deal? And I'll reference Bryce Harper here. It was about Joel Embiid, but it ties together with Bryce Harper. And he asked the question, does it even matter if you win or lose if you're Joel Embiid? And then he said, no one will remember in 5 years that Bryce Harper won an MVP. No one cares about last year's season. You only care about this year. So why was that important? And I'm going, are you even a Philadelphia sports fan? Why would you ever feel that way? When you're done a career, you go back and say, 2-time World Series champion, 5-time All-Star, 2-time MVP. You go back to Jimmy Rollins. We talk about his accolades. When you're done your career, you package them all up together, and that makes you either a Hall of Famer, a great player, an average player, or someone who stinks. How do you not value the accolade at all? And this is coming from someone who I appreciate seeing it. If you get the same season, you win it or you don't win it, you still saw the same play. But that's almost devaluing watching the play at all. And just pretending like the experience of studying and analyzing Bryce Harper's level of competition every single night does not satisfy you. If it doesn't satisfy you, just don't watch. Why are you even paying attention? What fuels you as a sports fan if that's the case? That was super silly and super dumb. But anyway, my point is, last year, we knew Rhys Hoskins was vocal. He's a vocal leader. And he does work on the field too, but he's a vocal guy. JT, not too much vocal guy, just a pure professional and a good dude and the best catcher in baseball. Bryce Harper, he's not as vocal as you would like him to be, but he does a lot of things, has a lot of intangibles, and realistically, just his body and his presence says a lot as a whole, but we needed to know, who was it? This year, this is somewhat of a defining moment of them having something in that clubhouse that matters a lot and could be the difference in going far and making a playoff series compared to not making a playoff series. So I'm almost looking at this as a pleasant surprise and a very good thing as a whole. And it's kind of comical when we all put ourselves emotionally back to where we were in that first inning, in the first couple of innings. It was a disaster. Get this guy off the field. And we were right to do that, to think you can't play this guy. And even right now, I have my worries on how they are going to figure out a way to slot him into the lineup. You can't just scream DH. Castellanos, Schwarber, Harper, Rhys, JT. These guys all have to utilize that DH position. That has to be done. So it's not like you can hide him there and have his bat always there. But there's something to be said about that bat being important right now. So if you are looking at this with Joe Girardi's eyes, how do you slot him in there? You're going to have to get creative, and you're going to have to get to work. And he's going to have to prove to the fan base and prove to the players and prove to the franchise and the front office and to Joe Girardi that I'm going to be better. All right, well, we'll see. But he's doing enough at the plate to keep himself in the conversation. Because obviously, if he wasn't, there's no way in hell. And Joe mentioned that postgame, that it has to change. We need to do things differently. That's something that has to be worked on. So I'm fascinated by this Alec Bohm storyline. I feel bad for him, I do. There's the human element. And then there's the, this is professional sports element. So the human element goes, damn. He looks defeated. He looks lost. He looks deflated. At the time, in the moment, on the field, you could tell. And then the other part goes, man, this is Major League Baseball. You gotta play. You gotta produce. If you don't produce, you don't play. So that's going to be a fascinating look as a whole. All around, though, I'm very proud of this baseball team. I'm not going to tell you that I counted them out because I'm never going to count out this offense. I know there's too much pure talent for them to just be disgraceful every single night. There's going to be nights where you are quiet. There will be nights and spurts in games where it looks like the A's, or it looks like it did tonight, where you're through 7 innings and there's really no buzz. There's really no spark. There was more spark in that last game against the A's where you had the 3rd inning. Matt Vierling ended up grounding out into the double play. Schwarber was up to the plate with a man on 3rd. He hit the dribbler back to the catcher about 3 feet in front of the batter's box, and he was gunned out, and that was all she wrote. But you barely even had that. And at least you had good contact, good squaring up the baseball, good exit velocity in that A's game. This was just completely demoralizing. But you can flip the switch. And also, the Mets will Mets. Isn't it hysterical? All those Mets fans in the building, all those Mets fans at Citizens Bank Park, they're now driving back up 95 thinking, what the hell happened? That's one of those games, right? Let's think about it from a Phillies level, because we've seen that a bunch of times over the last 2 years when the bullpen would flat out collapse. When we were driving back home, or hell, maybe you even still sitting in your seat at the ballpark, looking around, trying to grasp it. But you think to yourself, what the hell just happened? How in the world did that just go down? You can't comprehend it. You lose sleep at night. You stare at the walls. Now, the alternative, though, is this outrageous adrenaline rush. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, and it felt good. There's nothing better than an exciting finish at the end of the Phillies game. Hearing Tom McCarthy on the call when someone's... I like the it's gone call that he has for the homers, but when someone's sliding into home plate like that, like Nick Castellanos, the way that he was buzzing, or when Didi hits that double and here's Rhys Hoskins to take the lead, and that crazy outburst from Tom McCarthy and the electricity from the fans and the obnoxious screaming, and you just let it breathe. You maybe put the TV volume up to 50, up to 55, up to 60. You allow it to just roll through your veins. That's amazing. I woke the dogs up. Then the dogs came downstairs. Then they started jumping on me. I had my laptop. She smacks the laptop over, closes it on my hands. Now I'm screaming in pain because my hands hurt. Crazy. When I told you, when I first hopped on, I don't even know where to begin because my emotions are all over the place. I wasn't lying. I'm so stoked that this is real. I'm so stoked that this is actually happening. I think this is a perfect way to describe it when you think about baseball. The opening day series, when it's the weekend, you play, let's say traditionally Thursday, off Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There's something about that first weekday game. When you're getting back into the mojo of things, you make yourself dinner at 6 o'clock, 6:30. Realistically, we're used to a 7 o'clocker. They hit you at a 6:45. So it did throw us out of whack a bit. It did throw off my timeline for just a second, but it's easy for me to regroup and get back into things. But that first weekday series and that first big flow where the opening day rush is done, that's when it settles back in, and that's kind of what today was, and it's perfect, and it's fitting that we are watching a Mets team fall in front of your eyes tonight while the Phillies just smacked them in the face. I love it. I love the analogy of Chris Rock. We were Will Smith, okay? We just went up there and smacked the shit out of them and stole the victory. Amazing. Let's open up the phone lines at 856-442-9805. 856-442-9805. That is the phone number to hop into the conversation. Why is everyone complaining about the DH? Oh, no, there's actually a person named DH. I gotcha. I thought people were freaking out about the DH with Alec Bohm, thinking that was the move. But I tried telling you, there's so many other guys you have to figure out in the lineup to keep their bat in that lineup that you can't do that. But no, we're speaking about a man named DH who apparently thinks Tom McCarthy's horrible. No. The problem was he had to follow someone who was so historic. Therefore, there's always a time that fans have to reconnect and find a way to develop a in my living room atmosphere. When you turn on the TV and you hear a Mark Zumoff, when you turn on the TV and you hear a Jim Jackson, when you turn on the TV and you hear some of these guys that you have heard for your entire life, there's that connection base to it. Tom McCarthy was obviously, after such a historic figure, it takes time. I think Tom McCarthy has done a fantastic job, and to me, it sounds like Phillies baseball. It's weird when I'm watching one of those stupid Facebook games or one of those Amazon Prime games or one of those Fox games. I actually heard a video clip today when JT Realmuto hit the home run to make it a one-run game. Apparently the Fox broadcast, because it was on Fox as well, said sometimes you hit that home run and it's a big momentum killer because now the Mets know they don't have anybody on base and they could pitch more comfortably. What? What? You mean the Phillies hit a bomb? Citizens Bank Park is going crazy? And somehow you think that helps a pitcher settle in? That is probably the dumbest statement I've ever heard in my life. Please. Ridiculous. All right, let's go to the phones. 856-442-9805. Let's go to Amadeo. What's up, Amadeo?
You want to know what I think when I hear Alec Bohm owning up to his mistakes, admitting what he said and apologized?
What do you think?
Ben Simmons would never.
Wow.
Would never.
Yeah, absolutely. I never even thought about that. Ben Simmons is definitely off my mind. I was all over the map with this Alec Bohm stuff because it was pretty wild on Twitter. But yeah, you're absolutely right. That's the major difference between the two. And it really just smells like the leadership in the clubhouse more than anything else. And I think that's extremely valuable.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And just looking throughout this, basically the entire game, it felt like it was just dead. The offense wasn't doing anything. All the errors early in the game, Ranger Suarez struggled. But then you get Nick Nelson basically saving the entire bullpen. So basically just giving everyone else a rest, and he only had to use two other guys. And then that entire eighth inning rally, huge home run, Nick Castellanos flying around the bases, and Didi Gregorius. That was just a huge win by this team, and that just makes the rest of the series even more exciting to witness tomorrow and Wednesday.
Definitely. Even us as fans appreciate it, Amadeo. Even us as fans. If we were to lose this game, they look flat. It just kind of was one of those nights where it was a dud. You almost wonder, all right, what's the anticipation for tomorrow night? Now it's, I can't wait. Now it's, let's go. Now it's, I want it to be tomorrow. Oh, by the way, you ever hear of Zach Wheeler? He takes the ball. That's right. So we're going to have Zach Wheeler. Then on Wednesday, an unreal matchup between Aaron Nola and Max Scherzer. One game at a time. But Zach Wheeler and him taking the ball going, let's have at it. Let's give her a go. That's tremendous. One of the reasons why I thought this team could be so damn successful is the fact that they could get into other teams' bullpens early in a series. You can get 4 hits in an inning. You can walk twice and get 2 hits in an inning, right? You could do so much damage to teams that they're digging in the back of their bullpen by the 3rd game of the series because of how much toxicness you bring to the table. What Nelson was able to do, let's date back to this game 3 of this series. Let's date back to this towards the back end and wonder what could have been, what could have changed, what would have been different if you had to start plugging in so many more of your bullpen players. It could change game 3, game 4 so much differently. So just remember this because, yes, he is the player of the game. That's how important his role today. A relief pitcher, 4 innings with Ranger. Just so hard, right? It's so hard. You're throwing over 30 pitches in the first inning after maybe a simple double play could have put you in such a better position to succeed. But instead, it became really awful, unfortunately. Let's go back to the phones here and hear from you.
Witnessing Mets baseball at its finest is just fantastic. But what's even better is seeing a Phillies come back down from 4, coming back up 5, and feeling like they're a real baseball team again. No, it's only like 4 games in, but that witnessing all those Mets fans from behind home plate go from happy shit talking to sad face just felt amazing.
It always feels amazing. Watching the Mets suffer, watching the Mets go down, watching the Mets blow up, watching the Mets shoot themselves in the foot. That's Mets baseball. That's what they do. They started out the season nice. They played the Washington Nationals, but we know they are a team that just crumbles and they fold. Now, I'm not going to pretend like the pitching situation wasn't in a role here because they did have Trevor May. If you read his mouth and you saw what he was saying, I guess today's the lip reading game. You can just study every single player's lips and see what the hell they were saying. But Trevor May, when he threw that one pitch, he felt something. He was in some big-time discomfort. Walker, he ends up having a situation as well. So ultimately, you take advantage of it. But that's what good teams do. That's an uncontrollable. That's not part of something that, you dictate or anything. That's just sports, where some guys are going to have a situation pan out where they have to leave the game and the other team has to make an adjustment. They don't put the right person in place to succeed. And then bada bing, bada boom, here comes the 8th inning, and now your entire lineup is rolling through. We saw that first inning. Are they going to go around the order? Is every single person going to get an opportunity to bat? Are people going to get to bat twice in that damn inning? What are we doing? Please, no, I can't take it anymore. Yet the complete opposite when Didi's smacking the ball, when Rhys Hoskins is smacking the ball. Oh, when the ball died in the left corner. It was outrageous. I just never thought in a billion years Nick Castellanos would be rounding third like that. And for a split second, but for the other split second, I'm like, yeah, send him. You know that I have my relationship with Dusty, and I feel sometimes that he's just out of whack and out of control, and he gets too up with his feelings, and he starts sending some guys. So when I saw Dusty, I'm like, no, Dusty, don't let it be. Don't let it be. Yes, Dusty, yes. Great, phenomenal, beautiful decision. You know I have my faith with Dusty, right? Back to the phones we go. Hello, you're on Broads Media.
Suck it, New York. Suck it long, suck it hard.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't really know what else to say to that. Do you have any more thoughts on this game?
We just pin-slapped not only the Nets, but the whole National League of putting them on notice that we are here. This lineup is ready to go. We're ready to roll, and we're ready to take names. Out.
Agreed. But that's what this team was built to do. They're going to throw a haymaker. Can you connect? When I'm watching UFC, and I see we just had an awesome fight with Gilbert Burns this past Saturday night at a big UFC pay-per-view event. All right, he throws the biggest haymaker in the world to the point where you're seeing the eyes snap back. You're seeing eyeballs in slow motion roll to the back of the head. But when you stand up and still stay in the pocket after you take that punch, that's when you go, right? So if the Phillies are able to smack a 6-burger in one inning, in a hypothetical world, right? 7 runs. But the other team's still fighting. They're scratching. They're crawling. They're showing life. That's like throwing a haymaker and then going, oh, shit, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. Oh, hold on a second. This is not what I thought. But this is the complete opposite. This is knocking them down. This is them falling over, and now you get a chance and you hear the entire place kind of lose their marbles. I'm keeping that UFC reference, right? You pop someone, they fall on their knee, and then you can hear the rise from the crowd, and you keep going. That's where Brad Hand came into play. Awesome stuff, throwing dots on the outside part of the plate. You got nothing. Dominic Smith lost his mind. Looks dazed. Yeah, you should. I hate Dominic Smith. I hate him. Now, I know Mets fans are maybe a little bit in a debate on what they do with Dominic Smith and what their role should be with maybe some of their... But that's what I was saying before. Not that the Phillies have a perfect role for Bohm, Stott, and what's happening over on the left side of the infield, but we knew that as soon as we saw Dave Dombrowski make the decision of the 40-man roster, that was somewhat out of control. But I mentioned with Steve Cohen and what his thought process is, what's his thought process? Let's just gather a bunch of guys. No, he's got talented players on his roster. He does. Is there a real plan on how to use them? Is there a real plan on how to make all of this work? I don't know. Maybe the answer is yes. We're 4 or 5 games into the season. There's a lot of baseball to go. But I know that it's a hot topic around those streets up in New York. I can't stand Dominic Smith. I loved watching him strike out, and I loved the zoom in on his face. All of it was great. What's up, Jimmy? You're on the air, man. Thanks for calling in.
What's up, bros? I'm driving back from the ballpark right now.
Wow.
Great day at the office, you know. These are the kind of games that I was looking forward to when I accepted this job, man, really.
Absolutely. Here's to you witnessing that again tomorrow, and you witnessing that again on Wednesday afternoon, and you witnessing that again on Thursday.
I hope that I witness as many games like this as possible. And you're right. The crowd pretty much was pretty dead for the majority of the game, and I was getting kind of frustrated because, you know, like this for a high-powered offense like this, they shouldn't really be hitting the ball more. Like not only today, but like yesterday. But that eighth inning, man, it was that's why I love baseball, and that's why I love going to the ballpark, and that's why, even though the Phillies, you know, they haven't made the playoffs in over 10 years, you live for those moments. You live for those innings. You live for that kind of stuff.
You do. You just never know when the game is going to flip. It takes one swing. Thank you for calling, Jimmy. It takes one swing. Now, in terms of the offense should never go quiet, that's just like anti-being a human being, though, right? I do feel we have to keep the perspective of, well, they should never have a bad game against the A's. They should never have a bad game against the Mets. They should never have a night where their offense can't produce any runs. There's going to be a lot of them. There's going to be a ton of them. The best offenses in baseball will have the Toronto Blue Jays, right? If you watch around the league and you see what they're capable of doing, Vlad Guerrero Jr. and just all what they have on display is absolutely firepower, and they are damn unbelievable, right? That's what they are. They are a team that can rake and do some lethal damage on a night-to-night basis. There will be times where the offense is not anything wow. There's a lot of baseball games. I think today they were winning 3-0, right? Now they put up a 0 situation. Let's see. It was 3-0 the last time I checked. I had them off to the side a little bit. So they won 3-0 today. They had a total of, let's see. George Springer had 3 hits. Hernandez had 3 hits. Okay, they had 3 guys have 3 hits, and then the rest of the guys have 0. So that's 9 total hits, and actually one guy had 10. Gurriel had 1, so that's 10 total. 10 hits. They only scored 3 runs. 10 hits is pretty good. 10 hits is pretty good. Ended up backfiring to bring that up. You get 10 hits in a game, you're in a good spot. Still, 3 runs, though. You think that they could do, a little bit more crossing home plate. My point is, keep an eye on the Blue Jays. Keep an eye on the Blue Jays. Let's see if this backfires, too. How did they start the year off? How were all those games? Speaking of, I saw Spencer Howard pitch the other day. He went 3 innings, allowed 4 bombs. Oh, that was the Blue Jays, actually, now that I think about it. They ended up losing the game. Okay, what's going on here? I need to see. Now I'm determined. They lost 12-6. They won 4-3. They won 10-8. All right, keep your eye out on the Blue Jays. I promise you there'll be some nights where maybe it's not as sharp as you would think it would be just because of their talents. It happens. It happens. But what else can happen is, with a blink of an eye, the game changes. With one swing, it's a 1-run game. And now there's some more momentum. Now there's more faith. Now there's more belief. Now all those fans are on their feet. And before you know it, the momentum just swings completely. And bada bing, bada boom, you're coming out victorious. All right, let's head back to the phones. I love hearing from you all. Hello, you're on the air.
Way to overcome the early inning blows, man. Lineup bailing out Ranger Suarez, who, to be honest, looked like a one-season wonder out there. What's going on here?
I mean, it was one outing.
Also, can we show some luck for Nick Nelson tonight? 4 shutout innings out of the pen. Bravo, son. Bravo.
Yeah. Okay. Yes to Nick Nelson. I got nothing for the Ranger. 1-year wonder. The guy had 1 outing today, and he had to go against how many errors from your third baseman after all those ground balls? It was ground ball, ground ball, ground ball, ground ball, ground ball, ground ball. All those ground balls towards Alec Bohm. Realistically, I mean, that's what we're dealing with here. It's hard to judge Ranger. He wasn't the best. I've seen him do better. But by no means after this start am I going, he's a 1-year wonder. I even said it from the jump before the season even began. You have to have fair expectations on Ranger because a sub-2 ERA is just way too much to demand out of the kid. I think he's going to be awesome. I think he's going to be a great player for you. Someone that you're going to rely on in some big moments, in some big games, maybe in a series. It's the third game of the series. It's tied 1-1. He's on the bump for game 3, and he's awesome, right? He gets a bunch of strikeouts. He goes maybe 6 2/3, 7 innings, and allows 1 run. You're going to see that out of Ranger. You're going to get a sub-2 where he's dynamic and one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. I don't know. I think that's a little too much. A little too much. For tonight, though, sorry, we're getting a phone call here, and I let the ring go a little too loud. It's a little too reactionary. We'll take one more call before we wrap things up here. Hello, you're on the air. Too loud. It's a little... Okay, you have to mute yourself, or excuse me, mute the YouTube stream and then talk on the phone, or else I hear things. But anyway, I want to thank everybody so much for hanging out with me today. We're going to end things here. If you're new to the channel, make sure you smash the subscribe button. Hit that thumbs up button as well. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next.